What's so special about Kobe? I just read a Facebook rant that basically said nothing. This person was upset that Kobe Bryant's death has been getting so much attention when other people's deaths who die in a similarly tragic way don't. Like the other people that died in the crash, like the members of our military or our first responders who have died tragically in the prime of their lives in the line of duty, like people every day who die tragically in the prime of their lives who barely get any kind of attention or notice. This person in their post made it absolutely clear that they think Kobe's death was sad and tragic, but they ask a provocative question. Why are we so broken up over his death when we barely seem to notice the tragic deaths of so many other people? Why are we paying so much attention to him? Why is it that sports stars and celebrities are treated so differently? What's so special about Kobe? On the one hand, I totally agree with this person's rant. We shouldn't be treating his death any differently. We should be just as distraught over anybody who dies just as tragically. We should take it just as hard. But on the other hand, I totally understand why so many people are being hit so hard by his death. Here was this young man with a young family who was in the prime of his life. He was fit and healthy, in perfect shape. He was full of passion and energy. Had so much more life to live. And on top of that, he had as much privilege as anyone has. He had the best of everything. He had access to the best healthcare, to the best security, and ironically, to the best modes of transportation. Kobe Bryant was larger than life in our minds. If there was anybody who would be invulnerable to death, it would be somebody like him. And that's why it's hitting us so hard. If he was vulnerable, even somebody like him was vulnerable to death, how much more then are we? His death confronts us with our own mortality. What's so special about Kobe? But here's the thing, the shock and the grief we feel at Kobe's death, or anybody who dies in a tragic way like he did, or just at death in general, that shock and grief hints at our own immortality. Listen to how Philip Yancey frames this. He says, nature treats death as a normal occurrence, the foundation of the all-important food chain. Only we humans react with shock and elaboration, as though we can't get used to the fact. We dress up our corpses in new clothes, embalm them, and bury them in airtight caskets and concrete vaults to slow natural decay. We act out of a stubborn reluctance to yield to this most powerful of life's experiences. These two unnatural reactions hint at another world. In a way unique to our species, we are not fully at home here. As a symptom of the fact, we feel stirrings towards something higher and more lasting. Although our cells may carry traces of stardust, we also bear the image of the God who made those stars. Death is the most natural of life's experiences. Any living being that is born into the world, the one and only thing that they can count on is that sooner or later they will die. And yet we humans have this overwhelming, overpowering instinct that tells us that death, our mortality, isn't natural. Nature tells us simply to get over death, but we can't. Why? Where in the world, literally, where in the world do we ever get this idea that death isn't natural? It's not something likely to have come as a byproduct of natural selection. The grief and the shock we feel in the face of death is so distracting and debilitating that it's not really an effective survival mechanism. So where in the world did we get this instinct, this overwhelming, overpowering instinct? The most logical place to look is from something beyond this world, from something that is pointing us to our destiny, to a destiny that is immortal, a life that is immortal, and by extension, to the God who is responsible for that. What's so special about Kobe? Well, nothing and everything. What's not getting much attention in the press is that Kobe Bryant was a man of deep faith. He was an active and practicing Catholic. He was very much at peace with death. He talks about that in interviews. What is getting a lot of attention is all the good that he did. I have to admit that I always thought of Kobe as a self-absorbed athlete. I wasn't a fan of his, but in the wake of his death, I've come to learn of all the good that he was doing, these amazing things. I don't know how he had the time or energy to do them all, but he did all these amazing things, especially for people who tend to go unnoticed. The most touching story to me was of this young man who had a terminal condition, and Kobe went to go visit him. Apparently Kobe had this incredible gift. Even though he met thousands and thousands of people, he can make a deep connection with people right away, almost instantaneously. And he made a deep connection with this young man. A few days after that visit, this young man died. Kobe was completely broken up by that, crushed by it. He really cared. He had genuine compassion for the least famous among us. See, what Kobe saw was that each and every one of us is infinitely precious in the eyes of God. Each and every one of us is infinitely special to him. And then Kobe lived accordingly. He lived according to that insight, that belief. That's what makes Kobe so special. So how has Kobe Bryant's death affected you? Has it? And what do you think about all the attention being given to him? Did you see any problems with that? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can go to the Contact EJ page of the Raising Jesus website and leave them there. Also, you can please like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and keep telling your friends about us. Thank you all for all the support that you've been giving me.